What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Walk on Wisdom. And we are in a new studio. If you are watching on YouTube or you're getting the video version, you can tell we're in a different place. It might sound a little bit differently. We are still setting up the studio. I have recently moved here in Nashville, Tennessee. Haven't really moved. Didn't move far, but I am in a new room and we have not quite gotten it set up yet. But Connor and I got in here and started moving some stuff around and we got pumped up and went, man, I just want to get on because I've been having so many people reach out about when am I doing another episode of Walk on Wisdom? And I appreciate the willingness and the yearning for more episodes, and we are here to give them to you. If you are new to Walk on Wisdom, what this is I'm just sitting here by myself, answering questions from fans and supporters and followers who are going through things. And we would like to go a little bit deeper than your general, hey, what's your favorite punch combination type of questions. So we like to go deep. What's ailing you? What are you going through? What have I done? What wisdom can I give to you as a guy who by no means knows everything, but I know a little bit about a lot of things because I've been around the world and I've been fighting and competing and trying to become the best version of myself since I was 14 years old. And I poured myself into the sport of wrestling and now in the sport of mixed martial arts for 15 years. So thank you for joining us. And with that, we'll get right into it. The first question comes from Tyler. Hey, Mike, my name is Tyler. I am 22 years old and I'm from New Jersey and just recently graduated college and moved to New York and started my job. I've been a fan of yours since your UFC debut and watched your war with Dustin Poirier at UFC 281 in the Madison Square Garden. I am an avid fight fan, watching nearly every card and actually started a fight podcast with my best friend. At the beginning of this year, me and my girlfriend broke up. Not long after I realized my mistakes in the relationship and all the past traumas which affected the way I acted, which made me anxious to be around and started to want her back. I began writing every day and went to therapy to help find my problems before trying again. I realized I had a food addiction and a mental block where I self-sabotage myself when times are good because I am so used to a chaotic life. I also started training in MMA and became more disciplined in the gym, which really helped grow my confidence. It took some effort, but her and I started to rekindle things at the end of our final semester in graduation. We met in the summer, both telling each other how much we mean to each other, and when she moves closer to New York, we would try again. However, she has since moved closer and has essentially ghosted me from her life. I have continued writing and working out to help my mind, but I am simply left not knowing what happened. If she met someone else, is it too busy? Has she met someone else? Or is she too busy with work or simply realized that she doesn't want me anymore? It hurts all the more because I know that I've put in so much effort and time just for it to end without an answer, especially because this is someone I truly love. As a fighter, you've been through so many ups and downs and have been able to pull yourself back up and go again. Aside from this physical side, what could you take me through of your mental process that comes with losing a fight and the things that you do to center yourself in order to go again? I think that learning more about your process going through both a physical and mental tolling challenge can help me through my own battle as well. Thank you for being an inspiration. I can't wait to see you fight again. God bless. I'll see you at the top. Well, Tyler, you are going through and have gone through and now seems like you're going through again. Aside from the death of a loved one, someone that you love, getting your heart broken. Aside from having a death in the family, losing someone from this earth that you truly love and then being taken from you by passing on, you're going through what so many people would say is the most pain that they've ever been in their entire life when it comes to having your heart broken by someone that you truly love, that you truly felt you had a future with, by someone that you truly poured yourself into. And as you say, someone that you made changes for, that you grew for, that you continued to seek the best version of yourself for. And then if I get to point A, B, and C, and if I become this type of person, then everything's going to work out. And it just hasn't worked out that way. I empathize with you because it is a painful thing to get your heart broken. We have a lot of those questions here on this show, and the answer somewhat ebbs and flows and it changes a little bit. my first advice always is, when you get your heart broken, you need to become the type of man that not just she deserves, but your future wife deserves. And you need to become the type of woman that not just the guy that you're thinking about right now, but the man that you want to marry, that you want to sweep you off your feet someday. You need to become that type of girl. Um, Life is a series of days and decisions and choices that we make in order to step out of our comfort zone to become the best version of ourselves. And sometimes we need heartbreak. In my career, sometimes I've needed losses. In my career, sometimes I've needed setbacks, I've needed injuries, I've needed bad things. The age old question, why do bad things happen to good people? Well, I was just reading, my son got a Bible for Christmas, and we were just reading a scripture, and it was talking about suffering. Suffering creates perseverance. Perseverance creates character. Character creates hope. So if you think about that, when you have to go through any type of suffering, at the end of that suffering, if you exude perseverance, if you flex your perseverance muscle, you will then add layers to your character to then and only then have more hope in life. I have so much hope in life, and I can be better at it. We're all striving for more hope. I have so much hope in my life because I've had so much suffering in my past. I've gone through things that are painful. I've gone through losses in my career. I've gone through financial hardships, business hardships, relationship hardships. I've gone through a lot of things. And a lot of times in the public eye, because I fail in the public eye, it makes it even worse, right? But I would say rest in that, knowing that the suffering will create perseverance, perseverance will create character, character will create hope. You asked about my process. Today is January 5th, January 6th. So it was just 6 weeks ago or so that I fought Charles Oliveira, lost, had an injury that happened in the fight, kind of threw everything off. So it's very easy to go back and say, man, if my leg didn't get injured in the first round, maybe I would have won the fight, or maybe I would have had a better performance, or maybe I would have finished him in the fifth round. If this wouldn't have happened, or if I would have trained a little bit differently, or all of the different things that I can go through. And I do find myself doing that because I am a human being. I want you guys to always know I am just a human being. I am prone to wander just like you, just like everyone else. I get back, start to lick my wounds a little bit, spend time with my family. And I've spent a lot of time in my journal. I spent a lot of time in this training camp leading up to the fight in my journal. And more journaling than I ever have done. So, Tyler, it sounds like you are doing that. It sounds like you say you're in the gym, training MMA. You talked about having a food addiction and mental block where you self-sabotage yourself. That most of the time is indicative of self-image that needs some work. And rightfully so. You get your heart broken. You don't feel great about yourself. I lose a fight. I don't feel great about myself. I probably ate some things that I shouldn't have eaten, probably overate. It's just part of it. But sometimes we need those times. We need those times of gluttony. You feel like a glutton. You need those times of laziness. You feel lazy. You need those times of acting out of character, and you think back and you say, man, I'm not that type of guy. Why did I say that to that person? Why did I act that way? Why was I selfish? Why was I a little bit callous? Why was I a little bit too brash? And sometimes we need to become that person for a second to then look back and say, okay, I know I don't want to be that way because I know how it makes me feel. So my process is very simple. I wake up in the morning at 5:45 before my kids wake up, before my wife gets out of bed. Right now I'm getting in the 10X Theralite red light bed for at least 20 minutes, and I'm soaking in all of the red light while I'm journaling or reading. I'm spending that time for me to take charge of my day. I think we underappreciate how important it is for you to take control of and start your day on your own accord. Number one, do that. Number two, get in that journal, and don't just, actually, I'm not going to tell you how to journal because I think every day is different. Some days I am just speaking life into myself, all the things I want to do, all the things I want to be, all the things that I want to have. And sometimes I'm just writing down what I need to believe about myself, the lies that I've told about myself in the past, about how I'm not good enough here, or I'm too small here, or I'm not rich and famous enough here, or I'm not talented enough here. All of those lies that have been told that the enemy gets in, the enemy gets into the inner me, and the inner me is telling me who I am and what the story is that people think of me. And most of those times they are just not true. Sometimes it is just me writing down all the lies that I have gotten past and what I want for my future. The last thing too is keeping promises to yourself. What is most important to you? It's different for everybody. There are some people listening right now that it is their work. I want to keep promises about my work. For some of you, it is your eating habits, your fitness, your diet, whatever it may be in the fitness nutritional realm. That's where you need to hold the line, set a standard, and keep a promise to yourself. Maybe it's in your relationships. Maybe it's with the grace that you show other people. Maybe it's in your faith journey. Maybe it is, making your bed. Maybe it is as simple as making your bed. Maybe it's as simple as making that phone call that you need to. Either way, the greatest way to increase your self-image, the image that you have of yourself in order to grow more confident, is to keep promises to yourself. And it sounds so darn simple. Oh, Michael, you just tell me to be a man of my word? Yeah. Oh, you're just telling me to have integrity? Yeah. Well, what's the definition of integrity? The definition of integrity is doing what you say that you're going to do. And every time you do something different than what you say you're going to do, whether I say it to you guys right now on this microphone, I say it to my wife, I say it to my kids, I say it to a friend, I say it to a business partner. When I say something and I don't follow through on that, that is me breaking a promise to another person or to myself. Even if it's right here in the confines of this studio and nobody sees it, but I have 3 things that I need to do and something didn't get done, I broke a promise to myself. So set yourself attainable daily goals that you can check off the list to increase the trust and the reliability that you have in yourself, so you can be the man that you were created to be, or be the woman that you were created to be. So those are a couple of the things that I always do. And I, we've had the holidays over the last couple of weeks. I've had 15 different people either stay at my house, be at my house. We threw a birthday party for my wife. We had Christmas. We had New Year's. We hosted so many people. When I say I feel like my life, my body, my mind, everything was a little bit out of whack, that would be an understatement. So as soon as our last friends left and we stopped hosting, I just got back on the trail and started moving forward and said, okay, what is most important to me? Line some things out. I've got a whiteboard that I bought off Amazon for $60 or whatever it is. And it's been one of the best things that I have in my life right now, because I can get on it and I can write a bunch of stuff down, organize my thoughts. I've organized conversations on it. I've organized my days. I've organized my months. I've organized my goals. Right now it's 2025. Myself and Bree, my wife, got on there and said, okay, we want to do these things in 2025. We want to be better here in 2025. We want to spend more time with these people in 2025. And I've even got a spot up there for Hap. So Hap wrote a couple things on there to just get him involved in the goal setting, or even the visualizing of what they want, what we want in life, because it is okay to have your wants and have your needs. But you have to be the type of person who is pursuing the best version of yourself in order for those things to start being attracted to you. So Tyler, I hope that helps you, or anybody else who is listening who's in a similar situation. And we shall move on to Danny. Danny, dear Mike, I've been a bit lost over the last few months. I'm 16 years old and I grew up very overweight and was subject to bullying my whole life. For a few years, I had begun having suicidal thoughts until I turned 14. Before then, I decided to try and better my life, but I quit because it was too difficult. This time I had enough and really decided to change. Now I've lost all the weight and have thrown myself into training to become a UFC fighter. I only train and don't have much going on in the way of anything else, but despite everything that's happened, I still struggle with self-doubt and insecurity. You're a big inspiration to me, and I enjoy hearing your advice since I want to have an amazing career and a beautiful family like you. How do you handle self-doubt leading up to your fights? Sorry for the long message. Walk on. See you at the top. Danny, number one, never apologize, because this is a phenomenal question. And number two, thank you for considering me an inspiration. Like I said, I'm just a guy who, I think Connor cut together a really sweet video today of my interview with um, Ariel Hawani, and it's on Instagram. And essentially, I'm just saying, hey, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm sitting at Ariel Hawani's desk in his studio in New York City, about to fight as the co-main event on the John Jones versus Stipe card at Madison Square Garden for the fourth time in my career. Number one contender fight, still ranked inside the top 8 in the world, 15 years in the sport. And I've gone through a lot of ups and a lot of downs. And I think that my career and my life has been a blueprint, a how-to manual for a guy who was from a small town, and I was an undersized guy. I was around a lot of people who weren't necessarily toxic. I had a lot of love around me. My parents loved me. They provided for me. But I was never really taught to dream big. I was never really taught to get outside of my comfort zone. I was never taught that going outside of those county lines was a good idea, even if I had a dream in my heart. Any dream I had in my heart, even if it sounded, a little bit too unrealistic to the people I was around, I would quickly be brought back down to the size of somebody who comes from where I come from. And it's a beautiful place. They are beautiful people. It was just the people that I was around. That kind of stuff never came up in conversation. Now I spend so much time around so many people. I actually had four conversations today with some really high functioning, the sky is the limit, dream big type of men that I have in my life. And I'm talking money, fame, wealth, the cars, the houses, the businesses, the shows, the microphones, the TV, big time people. And so that's where my conversations go these days. It's not, hey, I want to have this little goal and somebody kicks it down. The people that I surround myself with now, if anything, tell me I'm dreaming and setting goals too small for myself. And those are the type of people that you want to continually be around. But Danny, it sounds like, as you said, you grew up overweight. So obviously the weight issue, the insecurity of being overweight is always going to be your default to, okay, this is why. But at least you know, and you can define why the majority of your struggles, or why you have the majority of your struggles. And it's a struggle that is not unique to you. There are tons of people that struggle with the same thing, and it affects a lot of them differently. But the best thing that you can do is keep doing what you're doing. Like you said, you train and you don't have much going on. You train right now, but you don't have much going on in the way of anything else. And now I don't know if that is to say, hey, all I have in my life is training and I don't have a lot of stuff going on. What fuels you? What edifies you? What builds you up? I'll tell you right now, this right here, doing these walk-on wisdoms, builds me up. And Connor came over here and we had a blank slate. As a matter of fact, we actually had less than a blank slate. We took apart a bed. We took it out to my garage to store, to put on Facebook Marketplace, or to put in storage. We moved a mattress. We moved a box spring. We set up all this stuff. Why? Well, number one, we wanted to see how it sounded. We wanted to see how it looked. But also, this serves me. Talking to you guys on here, this serves me. This also, right now, I'm making a emotional connection with a Danny that I've never met, who I know is going through something. And I get the opportunity to speak into this microphone, and tons of people can hear it. That builds me up, that edifies me, that fulfills me. So what in your life, aside from training, can you do that builds you up and edifies you? And it's funny, I keep using the word edify. Edify means to be fed, right? And so we're also talking about struggling with our weight, right? So struggling with our weight has either a unhealthy view and relationship with food, or certain types of food. So every time you have a craving that you don't want to fulfill, could be ice cream, could be soda, could be alcohol, could be Too many carbs, could be too much fried food, could be too much of a certain type of food. Every time you have that craving and you see it, think about, what can I do spiritually that edifies me? What can I do for other people that edifies me? Maybe start looking at it less like I need to scratch this itch via savory tastes or salty tastes or sugary tastes or crunchy tastes or whatever they are. We all have them. We all have our guilty pleasures. That's why they call it a guilty pleasure. I'm going to have this pleasure. I'm going to have this food. I'm going to feel guilty after. And you can turn it into this revolving door, this revolving loop of, well, I feel like crap when I eat it, with either physically or emotionally or both, but I'm going to keep doing it. And that's the definition of insanity, definition of crazy, right? We've heard that. So the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. NF's got a lyric in a song called "We're all out here trying to find a different product at the same store." So you keep going back to that same store, and they only sell shoes, but you're trying to, you're trying to buy a boat. It's like, I'm really looking for a boat. All I need is a boat, but you keep going to the shoe store to find that boat that's going to fulfill you. And it's not about material things, but we keep going back to the same things and the same habits. And all of that goes back to the wisdom that you have inside of the decisions that you're making and being able to see them for what they are. When I make this decision, it makes me feel bad. I can guarantee you that the one thing in your life, like you said, when you go to the gym and you train, you get done, even if you have a bad practice, even if you got submitted 15 times, even if you got absolutely mollywopped and puked in the trash can, you still felt a sense of accomplishment because you got it done. So keep making promises and keeping them to yourself. And continue to realize what you have done. See, we're so prone to being mad at ourselves and shaming ourselves, and our self-talk needs work. And we are our own worst critic when we do something bad. Yet when we do something good, we don't take the time to stop, pat ourselves on the back, smell the roses, write it down, look ourselves in the mirror and say, I am proud of you. And I'm guilty of this as well. I think I could have been a lot further along, a lot quicker, had I not just expected myself to do all the work, all the hard work harder than everyone else, do everything right, operate with integrity. When I did have wins, it was like, well, I'm supposed to win because that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm a winner and I train hard and I deserve it. When really I should have said, man, Michael, nobody expected you to walk on in Mizzou and all of a sudden you're an All-American. All of a sudden you're a starter within a year. All of a sudden you're qualifying for nationals and all these different accolades that I was having. And I don't say this to impress you. I'm just saying to bring it full circle and to impress upon you that I was having successes that so many people were bewildered by. And I should have started seeing myself in a more positive light. Yet I spent so much time just pushing it away, and I don't like compliments, and I don't like to pat myself on the back because I don't want to come off egotistical or narcissistic. Take the time to love yourself. Take the time to love yourself, because with love comes belief. With belief comes oneness in who you are and whose you are and what you're supposed to accomplish and what you're supposed to do. So, Danny, I believe you are doing a great job by continuing to train. It sounds like you are doing better with the idea of the self-image. And, I know you wrote here too, for a few years, you started having suicidal thoughts as a young man. You talked about being 14 years old as a young man. That's a very tough place to be. But I'm here to tell you today that you were created for something bigger and greater and more spectacular than you can even think or imagine right now at your young age. And you've got your whole life ahead of you. You've got so many things that will be accomplished, can be accomplished, and should be accomplished. But it's not about the goals and the accolades. It's not about the diamonds and the gold and all those things that are going to tarnish. It's about becoming the best person that you possibly can be. And you will fail. One day you will feel like the greatest man on the planet, and the next day you will feel lowlier than dirt somehow because certain things happen. Um, Such is to be human, and such is life. So realize that no matter who it is, no matter how much you look up to them, those people have bad days too. Those people have their guilty pleasures. Those people have their failures, and those people have their things that they are going through at any given moment. So I wish you the best, Danny. Keep on keeping on, man. Next one comes from Jackson. Hey, Michael, I want to start off by saying I appreciate all the help and advice that you give across your platforms. I am 24 years old. I find myself having trouble asking for help. I think it may be a pride thing. As men, we are told that we need to man up and figure things out. However, I find in many cases I could use a helping hand and advice. How should I go about asking for help when I need it and get rid of the mindset where I think it's not okay to ask? Thank you for all that you do. Can't wait to see you back in the octagon. Jackson, man, I'll tell you what. These last first couple questions, man, I almost feel like you guys know me so well because you guys are on this platform and you guys send in your messages. But I feel like, Jackson, I am speaking to you and you're asking me a question because you know that I've struggled with this. That's what it feels like. So one of the guys I was just talking about, his name's Sean Dill. He's a friend of mine. We've done a lot of stuff together. We've done business together. He's got a great show. He's got a couple masterminds, a couple big groups with his wife, Lacey. And he is one guy, and also David Meltzer. Those are the two guys, especially, who are always like, Michael, why don't you ever ask for help? And I'm like, well, and I'm with you, Jackson. Sometimes it seems like, we need to man up. We need to do it ourselves. Maybe it's pride, maybe it's ego, or maybe it's the exact opposite. Jackson, maybe you don't think you deserve help. I believe that was partly my problem, was I don't believe that I deserved help in certain areas. Or maybe it was, well, let me just try to figure it out on my own before I ask for help. But I would say the way that these guys spoke to me about it was, well, do you know I love you, right? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I think you do. Hopefully you do. I love you, man. We're doing life together. This is awesome. We've talked about big plans and cool things we can do. And it's like, okay, well, so you love me, but why don't you just ask me for help? Because you're robbing me of the joy and the peace and the fulfillment of being able to lend a helping hand to one of my friends. So then when you start to realize, okay, well, you got David Meltzer and you got Sean Dale, and I've got a laundry list of amazing men in my corner that I speak to often, and they are world-renowned type of guys. All of them at some point or another asked for help, got some help, and got to the next level because of that help. And the only reason they did that was because the people that they asked for help from were in a position years prior to get help from someone else. We're created for relationships. We were created for community. We were created for fellowship. And actually, coincidentally, talking about Sean, I spoke to him. Another guy that I spoke to, he called me for advice. Now, this is a man who he's a very big figure out there, right? And he's got all the money and he's got all the success and big company and sold the company and very well-known name, right? And this guy is above me on the hierarchy of success in a lot of people's eyes, yet he's calling me for advice. And that's a really cool place to be because, well, if this guy who has been there, done that, got the t-shirt, got the millions, got the fame, got the everything, but he's calling me for advice, it goes both ways. Sometimes we ask someone on the rung above us for help because they have more experience. Sometimes we ask a person on a rung below us because they have experience in different ways or a different perspective. So Jackson, I would say that, I mean, I feel like the pot calling the kettle black because I still to this day would say this is one of the big things that I need to work on is asking people for help. But I would first start to reframe it and say, okay, this person knows me, they know my heart, and they love me. So why not just ask them for advice and see where that advice goes? It's not like you're asking them for money. It's not like you're asking them for a loan. It's not like you're asking them for, oh, maybe you are. I don't know. Maybe you're asking for money, a loan, a leg up, a foot in the door. But a foot in the door only matters if you're man enough or deserve it enough to walk through the door and then crush it to be the person that gets the job or gets the opportunity. Um, that's where my mind goes on it, because asking for help is a sign of humility, because we were created for relationships. So I think part of that is too, I despise ego and narcissism, and I despise that kind of stuff. And maybe sometimes I should have a little bit more ego just to help me get a certain way, right? But it's not necessarily ego, it's just confidence in yourself. It's just a little bit more self-image. Um, so reframe it and say, okay, I want to give this person an opportunity to maybe answer my question and give me a little bit of help. Because I can tell you right now, I get so much fulfillment out of helping other people. Zig Ziglar said, you can have everything you want in life if you will just help enough other people get what they want in life. And isn't that exactly what I'm doing right here? Trying to help you guys and even the people who didn't send in questions to find some similarities with what they've gone through in their past, in their relationships, in their ups and downs of all the different things that are going on in their life. So if you know that you are operating integrity and it comes from a good place, just ask and give them the opportunity. The one thing that you might struggle with, but I struggle with, I don't want to turn this into a bragging of how many awesome people that I know, right? But just imagine I've got a big group of people out there, powerful men, famous men, rich men, wealthy men, the kind of guys that I want to be like, the kind of guys that I want to emulate, the kind of guys that I want to have what they have and do a lot of the things they want to do and be who they are in their certain sectors. I've created this relationship and never asked for anything, right? And I think being a guy who never ever asks for anything, my biggest fear sometimes is I pick up the phone and I call that guy, and all of a sudden he says, "Oh, shoot, this whole time, all he wanted was this relationship so he could ask me for this favor." And I think as I say it, you could go, actually, that kind of does make sense, right? In this, 15 minutes of fame, get rich quick type of uh, society we live in, where there's backstabbing and there's ulterior motives. But if they know that my motives are pure and I just want to be in relationship with them, in friendship with them, asking them for advice or asking them for a favor is nothing. And I've actually brought this up to numerous of them because I started to be more vocal about it and say, hey, well, I know we should partner on this, or I know you could help me with this. And I know that you could make that happen for me. Yet I don't really want to ask, because I never wanted you to think that I wanted any more out of this relationship than just the relationship. Never wanted anything more out of this friendship than just the friendship, you know? So maybe that's something holding you back, Jackson. Maybe that's something holding someone else listening back right now, because I've struggled with that. But just know that if your intentions are pure, and every relationship is a series of a series of concessions and service and things that you've done for people, things that they've done for you. Why do you spend time around them? What attracts you to them on a friendship level, on a colleague level? And if you've built a bunch of goodwill up in the bank of, this guy likes me, I like him, we have a good time when we are together, we spend a lot of awesome time together, and we can help each other in our different businesses or our different um, avenues that we are trying to become better at. If that goodwill has been built up, it's okay to ask. It's okay to ask, and it's okay to finally cash in on a little bit of help or a little bit of a leg up. So I hope that helps you, Jackson, or anybody else who is listening right now. The next one comes from Isaac. Hello, Mike. I'm Isaac, a 19-year-old college student studying alone. So far, I've been struggling with staying motivated to study. I've always tried to apply Colossians 3:23, but I feel a lack of connection between my faith and my studies. It's easier to work for God if the work is directly related to the ministry, but I fail to reconcile it with my worldly pursuits. I was never ambitious about accumulating wealth or success in my life, so I find it difficult to stay focused on my future career while staying focused on eternity at the same time. What would your advice be? Well, Isaac, a couple things come to mind. and I'm just spitballing here. So Colossians 3:23, everything you do, work for it as if you are working toward the Lord, or working um, and doing it for the Lord, right? So you got this dichotomy between, well, hey, this is my job and this is what I do, and I serve a boss, and I serve the almighty dollar, and I serve the almighty government with my taxes, and I serve the almighty world because I have this job inside of this world, this rat race that we live in called society, where I have to make money, so I have to have a job. I have to have a job so I can pay the bills and all of these different things. And then we have our faith on the other side, which doesn't cost any money. It doesn't take anything but time, anything but a relationship, anything but a connection with our Savior, right? Um, but I do believe, it was Paul who said, "I have become all things to all men so that I might win a few." And some of the theologians out there may disagree with my interpretation of this verse, but I believe it means that I have become all things to all men, so I might win a few. Right. So when I need to go be with the 100% awesome best Christian group that I want to be around them, and I want to talk about scripture, and I want to talk about relationship with God, and I want to talk about all of these different things. But then when I need to be around other people who maybe don't know the Lord as much, or wear their faith on their sleeve, maybe I don't need to be speaking my Bible verses or relating everything back to scripture, or over spiritualizing things, because sometimes people just want to be met where they are, right? You hear that a lot in Christianity. They just want to meet you where you are. People pray that a lot of times audibly when they're talking to a group. God, just meet these people where they are. Meet that guy where he is, meet that girl over there where she is, meet them all where they're at. Because some of them are on the level 1 of their faith, some of them are on level 50, and everyone in between. Right. So you say it's easier to work for God if the work is directly related to the ministry, but I fail to reconcile it with my worldly pursuits. I was never ambitious about accumulating wealth or success. So two things stick out to me there. It is, and once again, people may disagree with me, but it is completely okay to accumulate ridiculous amounts of worldly success, worldly platform, even worldly possessions, as long as you are a good steward of those things. I do not believe that God created us to be living lowly lives because it is more righteous than being extremely successful. I think He wants the best for you. I think He wants you to have a bigger bank account so you can spend more of your money and donate more of your money for charities, to help the church, to help the kingdom, to help more people in need. I believe He wants you to have a platform so your voice reaches more people. I believe He wants you to have more friends, wants you to have more relationships so that you can reach more people. I believe He wants you to find ridiculous amounts of success, because with ridiculous amounts of success, platform, and resources comes the ability to reach more people. That is my personal opinion. In your studies, studying the biology book that you don't want to study the economics book that you don't want to study. I think it's commendable if you are telling me that you want to spend more time reading scripture and reading your Bible and being in the Word and being in Bible studies than you do on your quote unquote worldly degree, if you will, right? I think that's commendable. But with the good grades comes the good job or the good success or the entrepreneurial journey. And with that comes more and more success. And with more and more success comes more and more connections, more and more platform, more and more ability to reach people. I've kind of gone through the same thing when in my mixed martial arts career at times, right? I want to stay grounded. I do not want to become overly full of myself or overly self self-consumed, like I created all this. I've got a great life. I've got a great career. I am successful by the world standards. But as long as you attach your who to your what, like who did it? Was it God's blessing or was it just you? And I think, Isaac, it sounds to me like you know the answer. So as long as you know it in your heart, as long as you have that abundantly in your heart, that you know you're doing it, Colossians 3:23, you can have worldly successes and also be doing it for the Lord. Does that make sense? The world would say, well, you don't need all the money and all the possessions and all the platform, and you shouldn't be a celebrity, and you shouldn't have all these millions of fans around the world or whatever it may be. But the more people that know you, the more people you can impact. The more you have, the more you can share. The more you accumulate, the more you can give. I always picture myself with a horse and buggy. I don't know why it's a horse and buggy, but if I got a horse and buggy and I look back and there's nothing in the wagon, there's nothing to share with people. I look back there and it's just busting at the seams with watermelons. I could share a watermelon with everybody in the town. So think about that as you're pursuing things, as you are growing in your faith, but also growing in your worldly um, accomplishments. It's okay. I do believe, Isaac, and anyone listening right now who is struggling with this, I do believe that the enemy, um, I was just at church this past weekend, Pastor Kevin Queen at Cross Point in Nashville. He was talking about how you got God on one side and and I'm paraphrasing here, you got God on one side and he's everywhere, but you also got the devil who knows exactly how to get into your mind and your brain and your heart and your spirit to try to make you take a detour and tell you that trying to do anything bigger than um, just being average or in the herd or being mediocre. He's trying to get in your mind so that you don't accomplish great things, because when you do accomplish great things, you could be of more influence, and a convicted, powerful, talented, desirable human being who has a lot of platform and a lot of resources is a dangerous thing for the enemy. So keep that in mind. And anybody else who is listening right now, it's a very dangerous thing. You owe it to yourself and to the kingdom to be as successful as you possibly can be, because by becoming as successful as you possibly can be, you will reach as many people as possible. And you will have your moments of doubt. You will have your moments where you feel like you are of the world and you're being too worldly, and maybe you're focusing too much on worldly possessions or the way people think about you or the likes and the clicks and the views and all of these different things in the world that we live in. That's okay. God's word also said that we are prone to wander. And wander you will. You will wander. We all do. But just as I was saying in a couple of questions prior, sometimes we need to wander a little bit or become the person that we don't want to be able to see a view of that person, to remind ourselves that we never want to be that person. God wants you to be constantly seeking him and get as close to him as you possibly can every day of your life. But sometimes a little reminder as you wander is a good thing for you, because it reminds you of what you have and who you are and whose you are. So, Isaac, that would be my 2 cents on that. Do not be afraid of trying to mix the worldly with the spiritual or the heavenly, because I believe you were created for great things. So, next one is anonymous. Michael, I've been wanting to get into journaling more and documenting my days to reflect on the past and prepare for the future. When you first started journaling, did you use a guidebook or just a blank sheet of paper? What are some examples of how you would journal? When do you think is the best time to journal? And thank you for taking the time to do these. It means more than you know. All right, so that is the last one. Let's talk about journaling, because I did go through the process a little bit, but that question was already going a little bit long, so I didn't want to go into it too deep. I will tell you guys firsthand this past training camp, and I know it's this fight. Anybody who's listening right now who watched the fight, I did not win. I failed to get my hand raised on November 16th, and I lost. But I can tell you right now, I was the best version of myself that I have ever been in my entire life. And I remember writing in my journal about him. I think I've spent my entire life trying to become more confident, trying to become more skilled, trying to become more of a man of influence, trying to become more diligent, more responsible, more known, more disciplined, all of the great adjectives that I want to become. I've spent my entire life trying to become him. And I always think, well, when I get to a place, that's funny. I think about this Matthew McConaughey thing. So remind me of the Matthew McConaughey thing. When I get to a certain place, I'm like, okay, well, this is great, man. I have accomplished this and I got to this spot. Okay, but now I just want to, now I need to become more of that. And need to become more of that. I need to be more like him. Who is him? Him is that this vision of this guy that I want to be, this perfect version of myself that I want to be. And as soon as I get close to him, I'm like, okay, well, now I need to become even more of him. And now my him has changed a little bit. And I think about that Matthew McConaughey speech where he's like, hero, he's like, I'm always chasing my hero. And he's like, the hero is me down the line, because once I get to the spot that I never thought I would get to, I thought I was trying to chase this guy that I wanted to be, the hero. I just move him a little bit further away, and I move him a little bit further away once I attain the next one, and I attain the next one. And life is a series of constantly continuing to move forward. And then you just continue to move the goalpost as long as you become more and more contented, more and more loving and believing in yourself. As you continue to climb that ladder, you're going to be in a good spot. So the idea for this last training camp was him. And I wrote a lot about him. Who is him? He's the best version of me. I'm by no means saying I have attained the exact him that I want to be. I have so many things that I want to work on, and I will continue to work on, just as I just said. But I have definitely gotten past a couple hymns without ever stopping myself and saying, holy cow, Michael, you've become him. Now look what you've done. Pat yourself on the back. You are this, and this, and all of these different things. What is the most important thing to you? If you died today, who would speak at your funeral and what would they say? Or when you become the best version of yourself and that best version of yourself passes on to heaven and you have that funeral, what is the headstone going to say, and what is that eulogy going to read? What are the things that you want to do and be and have? And the do and the have aren't as important. It's who do you be? So for me, every single day, and I'm talking 4 or 5 pages of journaling every single day. I've got a very thick, this was the thickest journal that I ever bought. And I started it during the Conor McGregor training camp. Didn't do it as much in that one. And then I stopped for a week or two when I came home and the fight got canceled. I went home and started it for the Oliveira fight. And I said, I really need to take stock in who I am, because yes, this fight was taken from me and now I'm in a little bit of a, how do I figure out what's next? James 1:5, he who lacks wisdom, pray for it, and the Lord your God will give it abundantly. So I just started praying for wisdom. What do I do here? The Oliveira fight popped up. Boom, we went. And I started a new training camp, and I journaled every single day. And a lot of times it was first thing in the morning. And then a couple pages, I really found myself being invigorated by that first journal session, a page or two, and then doing my morning workout. And then in the afternoon, I had a little bit of time. And instead of watching TV or doing nothing, I would just sit there and journal. And the best process for me, and this is what I needed, I need millions and millions and millions of pages, words on pages, actually, to continue to reinforce who I am, whose I am, what I deserve, and why I deserve it. It can be as simple as, there was some times where I was like, hey, today, this is how the practice, because some of this was, I want to look back on these journals when writing a book, and I'll write numerous books, and some of them will be autobiographies. Some of them could be on mental toughness or on whatever it may be. So I want to be able to look at these journals and say, okay, I remember this training session. This was a tough training session, or this was a tough sparring session, or, hey, this injury is painful, or, but a lot of it really was just, you can't hear negativity when you're speaking positivity. That's why you guys have heard me say, talk to yourself. If you listen to yourself, you will undoubtedly hear negativity. You will hear doubts, you will hear fears, you will hear what ifs, and you will hear the worst case scenarios. And you will also hear self-defeating and self-deprecating talk. But the more you talk to yourself and speak positive things over your life, there is no space to hear negativity. So journaling is the same way. When I spend 5 minutes on a page, 10 minutes on a page, I think I just get in the zone, and I don't know if I could be writing for 1 minute or 25 minutes. I don't really remember. I just remember I'd get to the end of the page and I'd sign it, Michael. I signed every single page, Michael. I don't know why I do that. It's kind of a quirky little thing, like almost like I wrote a letter to myself and I signed it and put my name on it. So I put my name on it. So therefore every single thing that I wrote right here was true and from the heart. So maybe that's a little bit of a unique thing that maybe a lot of people don't do. I sign every single one of them with my signature. So anyways, I do that. And so I could be 1 minute, could be 25 minutes, but I can tell you this right now. I do not have one negative thought whatsoever while I'm in the flow of that journal, while I'm in the flow of that page, while I'm in the flow of it. One period starts a new sentence and that sentence ends with a period and I start a new one and things just keep flowing to me. And I'm just speaking blessings and positivity and happiness and joy and deservedness into my life through those pages. And it sounds so base, so foundational level, right? Because everyone knows journaling, you write some words on a paper, but I cannot tell you the spiritual depth that is created when you're inside of those pages. And it was just really funny. Like my wife and I would have these little kind of jokes. Is like she was almost like she thought I was fibbing. Almost like she's like, "There's no way are you really journaling?" It gets like seems like every time I like reach out to you, should be working for a couple hours and then text me like, "Hey babe, how you doing?" I'm like, "I'm just journaling." She's like, "What? This is like the 20th time that this has happened in the last like 6 weeks. How is it possible that I can text you and you're journaling?" I'm like, "I'm journaling, babe." It was just, so with that being said, I was also in Florida all by myself. So it's not like I had a lot of stuff to do. So obviously in your busy life, but it does take just 5 minutes, just take 2 minutes. And the biggest thing that I would say is pick up the pen, put it to paper, see what happens. Maybe one day you're feeling like crap and it needs to be all positive stuff. Maybe one day you're feeling like crap and you're like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and write down how he did this to me and how she did that to me and how this happened, this and the economy, this, and I'm freaking pissed off about it and blah, blah, blah. Sign your name to it. And now you can flip the page and be like, you know what? Kind of felt good to get out of there. Maybe use your journal as a flowing to-do list of, hey, this is what I want to do by the end of the year. And I really think I can do it because of this. And we've all got struggles. We all got pain. We've all got insecurities. We all got these things that we're going through. And I think I just got a new journal because I finished the last one with the last training camp, and I put it on the bookshelf, and I've got it written out. And now I start in the morning, as I said earlier, in the 10X red light bed. I do a 20-minute session, and I do a page or two of journaling, and I start my day with that. So that to me is a no-brainer. Starting your day with that positive affirmation, similar to what people have said. Start your day with a list of a grateful list, a list of 10 things you're grateful for, and you realize how profound it is. Start your day with, hey, here's 5 things I'm thankful for, and then start putting the pen to paper and see what happens. So, interesting. I've never told anybody that I signed my name at the bottom of a journal. Now I just did it on these public airwaves. So, maybe other people do it. Maybe I saw someone else do it. Maybe that's why I did it. I don't know. I just feel like you're putting a stamp on it, right? You and that journal, you know it. It knows you. You spend a lot of time together, and I feel like signing your name, because that is saying that this is my word, and your word is your bond. And if your word is no good, then eventually you are no good. So I think signing my name to it like it's a contract really just made it a little bit more heavy. You know, it holds a little bit more weight to it in order to become the man that I want to become, in order to continue to chase down him and all those words on those papers. I signed my name to it. So, man, thank you guys so much for sending in the questions. Sorry we've been off for a little while. We had the fight camp, 2 fight camps in the last couple months, and then the holidays, and I moved. We're in the new studio. I'm excited to deck this place out. We're going to put some cool sound panels and stuff on the wall. We got these 2 St. Henry. You can only see one, but we got these 2 St. Henry pieces that he painted. And we're going to do some really cool stuff. So thank you guys. As always, send your questions into podcast@michaelchandler.com. And it is the beginning of 2025. Let's make 2025 our best year yet. And I hope I can go on this journey with you guys. And the best is yet to come. No matter what you're going through, no matter what ails you, no matter who has done you wrong, no matter how dark the future seems, the best is yet to come. It always has worked out. You might have some quick little setbacks. You might have closed doors. You might have heartbreak. You might have pain. You might have tears. But it always does work out for he who believes. So continue to keep on keeping on, guys. I love you so much. Thank you for this opportunity to be here with you. God bless. I will see you at the top.